Thank you so much for joining us on a very large event that happens throughout the globe. I just a couple housekeeping things before I go on with further introductions. I do request that you keep yourself on mute unless you are speaking. If you would like to add something, feel free to add in the comment. There is a raise my hand option as well at the bottom of your screen, probably. This event, although it is about mother language, we will be mostly speaking in English just because we have a wide array of people on our screen. This event, although it is about mother language, we will be mostly speaking in English just because we have a wide array of people on our screen. Can we all mute ourselves? I hear myself in someone else's speaker. Sorry. Wide array of people on. Okay, thank you for doing that. Sorry, as I was saying, we are currently live on Facebook as well. This event is being broadcasted there. Later on, this will also be broadcasted on YouTube as well, and we will have a saved copy in the event that you need that. With further ado, the event is anticipated to be roughly an hour. So hang tight, grab a glass of water in case you get thirsty, but hopefully we get to learn a lot about mother language today. So Mother Language Day always happens on February 21st of each year, which is tomorrow for us, Monday, but because it's a working day, we are celebrating today. I am currently situated in a small town named Parry Sound, Ontario, which is in Canada, but we do have lots of people from all over the globe as the introductions will carry on. The intention of the day, Mother Language Day, is to promote awareness of linguistic and cultural diversity and multilingualism. So the idea is that we are causing some awareness and we're keeping languages alive. That's really the big goal of today's celebration. International Mother Language Day was proclaimed by the General Conference of UNESCO, so United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, in November of 1999. And really, the celebration began the subsequent February, which was February in 2000, February 21st to be specific. The UN General Assembly welcomed the proclamation of the day in its resolution of 2002. So first, UNESCO introduced the idea, and then UN also considered it a celebratory event starting in 2002, 2 years later. So just as a fun fact, 8 out of 10 of all the languages humans have ever spoken are now actually extinct. So if you picked any 10 languages from the beginning of time, 8 of them are probably gone by now. And that's exactly why we are here today, hoping that that doesn't happen with any of the languages that we currently speak. The way today's event will go on is that we will ask different members or different well-achieved individuals who I will briefly introduce, and then they will have a chance to say something that they would like, and then we will go on. In between, I would like to educate you a little bit about Mother Language Day by sharing some facts and different interesting things. And the one last thing I'll say before I start with the first guest of today, we do have 4 guests lined up, so we will have like 4 speeches per se. But today's event is organized by 2 large organizations from North America. The first one is Sindhi Foundation, and I'll give Mr. Laghari a chance to speak for that very briefly. And the other organization is CANSA, which is the Canadian representation of Sindhi Association, and I'll give them a chance to also briefly introduce themselves. So without further ado, Mr. Laghari, I will pass the mic to you. So feel free to say a few words for a minute or so. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Wonderful, and I'm so glad this is the first time I'm hearing from you. I'm so happy that because I remember when Dileep asked me that we want to include Urooj, she's youngest, and to give the opportunity to conduct the program, to run the program, I was a little bit nervous, but also I'm always give the opportunity to the young people who can do this kind of the work, because it's very important to our young people who, and even you asked me that this program we're going to run in the Sindhi or in English, and I'm very happy that you speak Sindhi very well. And so this is the first time that Sindhi Foundation is doing this program. And when I asked Dileep that can Kensa will join us, this will be more appropriate and wonderful that Kensa should join our this program. Together we can do it. And this is the first time that the Sindhi Foundation and Canadian Sindhi Association is going to do more program will be further, but this is the first program, first experience. So if any kind of error or mistakes, that will be on my side. And the good thing that I want to share and I want to appreciate that the because this language struggle and the day why 21st February is going to be celebrating internationally from the United Nations. I know our two speakers from the Bangladesh origin, but they live in the United States, Mr. Saleem Raza and also Dr. Shabbir. But and one of our Sai, Mohan Gehani Sai, he's in India, but he's originally from the Sindh. He's a very, I appreciate that very in the late hours, he's also with us. And more important, Sai Mir Mohammad Ali Talpur, he's downloading the app and he's going to join us soon from the Sindh. I appreciate all the speakers. But very important and most important, I want to introduce you here, which haven't we mentioned, but this is the surprise, that why this, how this day was happened to be international. Many people maybe don't know, but there is a name, Rafiqul Islam. He was from Canada, origin from the Bangladesh. He was the person who wrote the letter to the Kofi Annan. And then in 1989, 98, sorry, 98. And then in 99, this is from the United Nations. UNESCO has actually adopted the resolution and passed the resolution, and now is the International Day. And from the organization, which is the mother language lovers of the world's society. And yesterday I found it, and I called right away to the number, and I found that, and we are very lucky, the person, Mr. Aminul Islam, he is joining with us right now, and we will give him the opportunity to speak about the that one too. And Mir Mohammad Ali Talpur is here too. And so I want to give the little bit brief my own perspective about this language, very important to my heart and everybody's to their heart. But Bangladesh is always inspiring for us. Very, very important movement, struggle from the 1952. Their movement, I went to Bangladesh and even went to see the people who actually gave their life. And that's called the Shaheed, Minar Shaheed. I went to actually to bow my head to that kind of the monument and get more inspiration. So the Bangladesh movement in this current situation is very important for the Baloch and for the Sindhis. And now I know I'm not a linguistic. Language is very important for culture and language. 7,000 languages in the world. And in every 2 weeks, language is dying. And what was happening when in the Bangladesh, that was the Urdu language. We are not against any language, but we don't want to accept the other language to dominate on on our language. So the Urdu language, when they were actually in Bangladesh, they say you have to speak the Urdu, and majority were the Bengali people. They say we want to speak our Bengali language. And that's the reason they struggle in 1952 and see now their language is internationally as a mother language from the United Nations. That is the inspiration. We Sindhis have a lot of challenges in Sindh too. It's a long history and long moment, but I don't want to take much time because the most important speakers is here. I just want to say thank you all that who joining us, and I hope they will give their own perspective, their own the experience and thoughts that how the Pakistani hegemonic and the one language is Urdu trying to impose on the other languages, and more speakers is here. They will speak. I want to just say thank you very much that you give this opportunity to present your views. And also I want to thank you, our Jamal Hassan friend, who's always helpful for our struggle. He's here too. So at the moment that Bangladesh is inspiring for the Baloch and Sindhi, we are also struggling for our freedom and our movements, for our rights, for our language, for our culture, for our heritage. So let's move to the more toward the speakers that they can share their own thoughts and views. Then we can learn more from them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Laghari. I'll pass it briefly to Mr. Ratnani now. So the Canadian leadership side of the organization, CANSA, we'll briefly get them to introduce themselves, and then I will have a chance to introduce first our for some of our guests. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Urooj. Thank you, Sindhi Foundation, for providing this opportunity for Canadian people to participate in today's mother language program. My name is Dileep Ratnani, and I'm president of Canadian Sindhi Association. Today's meeting is very important. As Urooj already explained the significance of this day, but Bangladesh is the only country in the world that they have sacrificed their lives for mother tongue. This is part of the history, and we feel proud of that. They are the first martyr in the world for the cause of language. That's also a proud moment for every nation of the world. The 21st Feb is the International Mother Language Day. Every nation has remarkable achievement that they can take out of it. And we are also here connected with Bengali friends like Saleem R, Noor, Dr. Shabbir Ahmed, and Jamal Hassan, and Aminul Islam, and Talpur Saab to speak about that. Those definitely you will shed more light on that. But Bengalis were in majority when West Pakistan rulers imposed Urdu as their national language. That was the moment when Bengali people stood and they fought, and they gave their sacrifice of their life. Dhaka University student gave their blood for this language day. And being a Sindhi, I'm proud of Bengali nation. They fought. Today, the Bangladesh is a Azad country, and we are hoping that other nations will also get their freedom one day. And thank you very much, everybody. Let's move on. Urooj, thank you.
Okay, so because we are in many different time zones, I will start with individuals who are staying up late for today to have a chance to speak. So with no specific biases towards one or the other, I will start with Mr. Mir Mohammad Ali Talpur. He is a writer and has been associated with the Baloch rights movement in Pakistan since the early 1970s. He speaks 6 languages, and he is very vocal about human rights violations, especially in Balochistan and in Sindh. He joined Baloch freedom struggle in his youth. He joined Baloch National Struggle in the 1970s. So these are groups that are very active within Pakistan. Mir Mohammad Ali Talpur Saab is widely respected by the Baloch and Sindhi nationalist groups, and people call him, out of respect, Ustad, which really means teacher. I personally was humbled to read up about him. Prior to this very brief introduction, I did get a chance to read up lots about him on Google just by a quick search of his name. and I was beyond humbled to understand what kind of different sacrifices that he has made throughout his life and what kind of actions he has taken to try and be very equal and be non-biased to humankind, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their background. I will let him speak about Mother Language Day, about really whatever he believes is appropriate at this event. And I'll let you unmute and pass it on. Your choice if you would like to speak in whatever language. Thank you. Sorry, you will have to unmute yourself first.
So much, Urooj, and all my friends there. Very kind introduction. I'm a humble Baloch, and a humble worker of Baloch nation. And of course, because I am indigenous Sindhi as well, being a Baloch and also a Sindhi, and a bridge between the Baloch and Sindhis. So I'm thankful to all for the kind introduction. Languages, the sacrifices that the Bengalis gave cannot be discounted or cannot be neglected for the simple reason that when it is the realization that when you are deprived of your mother tongue and your mother language, you are left not only without your most potent weapon that the human being possess, that is the language and the tongue, expressing something in your own language and telling something, expressing yourself to your own people and to others as well. So when by just simply announcing that Urdu would be the language, by that simple stroke of those few words, the entire Bengali nation was deprived of the dignity, of their right to express themselves, and also in a way left illiterate, because when you are deprived of your language, you certainly are not able to learn and progress in a language which is not your own. And that is what the colonialists do. They deprive you of your language, they deprive you of your land. But all these things, I think the most potent way to disarm a nation is to deprive them of way of expressing themselves. And all struggles, wherever they are, even if they are for the other national rights, they always include language as a very integral part of their struggle. And the Baloch and the Sindhis, they have been struggling for their languages, for their national rights, for their independence rights, and it's it would I would say it's being educated in English, and it's that's also a tyranny that we had to suffer because of being colonized by the British, and then again by the Pakistanis. So expressing my language is Sindhi as well as Baluchi, but I speak in English. I have written in English, and so what we need to do when, as a nation, for our own dignity and for our own right, is to express ourselves in our own language to our own people and also to other people with language medium which we can possibly communicate them with. So English is probably the medium that I can communicate with you all. Otherwise, if I spoke Baluchi or if I spoke Sindhi, some would understand and some wouldn't. So, what we should, I think, we agreed upon of all nations that are being suppressed, be that Sindhi, Baloch, Pashtun, Palestinians, Kurds, Uyghur, any any nation, any place, anywhere in the world, is to be in solidarity with each other, because as an oppressed nations, we think it's essential that there is a unity between oppressed nations, not only on language issues, but on the political rights as well. Because if recently, in fact, on 10th December, on the Human Rights Day, at a function on Human Rights Day in Karachi, I had mentioned to all the friends there were Urdu speaking people, progressive people, there were Baloch, there were Sindhis over there. I had said that uh, standing up for Baloch only on their human rights and supporting them only on their human rights does problem. Unless dissemination or right to independence, these things we cannot succeed without that. So all we all have to do is that support each other, not only on language, but on all our political rights as well. Because without every struggle is eventually, in the last analysis, it is a political struggle, and without a political struggle, we will be left behind and we cannot achieve what we would like to achieve. If I or I've also said at times, I've written that, for example, the Pashtun Tehfuz movement, that is the PTM of Pashtun, and they are a social movement. Unless they become a political movement, they won't be able to achieve anything. And for politics, there has to be political action, there has to be political agenda, and without that, we will never be able to succeed. For Sindh and for Baloch and for Pashtun, it's a primary duty of all those who realize that they are enslaved. They should support each other on their political action, on their language, other all rights which emanate from from being as a
Perhaps we're having some internet issues.
initially as a citizen of Earth should have a right, citizen as well, as a Baloch, as a Sindhi or Bengali or Pashtun or Kurd or a Palestinian.
Sorry, Mir Mohammad Ali Talpur ji. तां जो आवाज, we unfortunately lost you a little bit in there because there was maybe some internet connection. But we did understand your point very well.
I heard very dicey. Suppose if that our voice not true, I would be just like,
yeah,
and thank you, friends.
yeah. Thank you for conveying the point that yes, it is a political issue, but it is as much a social issue as well. We really appreciate you staying up and contributing your thoughts tonight. I will briefly share a fun fact and continue the program along. Please don't mind, but we do have to keep track of time as well. So according to United Nations, there are 43% of the world's approximately 6,000 languages that are currently at risk, to the point where calculations show that currently at this rate, we lose about one language every 2 weeks. So every 14 days, we lose a language completely. It goes extinct. What does that mean? That means we're losing a culture. We're losing all kinds of things that are rich that come with that group of individuals. Now, these are from all over the globe, Asia, you name it, Asia, Africa, every continent has many dialects, many specific tribes that say things in a certain way. There are different sounds that come out of our mouth. These are all connected anatomically within our brain, and we're losing that. So this is something just to paint a picture of, this is not just about a political and a social conversation, but it could be putting the humankind a little bit behind. Yes, we are unifying with English, but we are perhaps losing some sounds and different things that our body can do if we continue to lose these conversations and these languages. Just little tidbits and thoughts for you to sort of simmer your conversations about, your thoughts about, to see why does today matter? What should we do about this? Without further ado, I will change the gears and move to Mohan Gehani Sai. He is a noted Sindhi scholar, playwright, translator, and a poet. He's born in Sindh, Karachi, on January 20th, 1938. He belongs to a select community of writers who have lived through the partition of India. So he comes with that experience as well. Currently, he lives in India, though. Gehani Sai, whose first short story appeared in 1955 in Nai Dunya, a progressive literary magazine, which was a very big deal at the time, it still is today, is the author of numerous books. He has also played an active role in the successful campaign to introduce Sindhis in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Gehani Sai is the recipient of several awards, including the Sahitya Academy Award, the Sai GM Saeed Memorial Award by World Sindhi Council in London. He has also received awards for his contribution to Sindhi literature from the Council for Promotion of Sindhi Language and Akhil Bharat Sindhi Bali Ain Sahit Sabha. Sorry. He is also a member of the advisory board of Sahitya Academy in New Delhi today. From 2007 to 2012. I will give him a chance to shed some light upon today's event in, again, whatever language you prefer. And please just be considerate of time just a little bit. Thank you.
Good morning to you all in USA. And I have to thank Sindhi Foundation and Canadian Sindhi Foundation for inviting me to speak on this occasion. Friends, I extend my greetings to all of you on the occasion of the International Mother's Day, Mother Tongue Day. Language happens to be oldest tradition of humanity. It is not possible to think without words. At instinctive level, feelings may be expressed by a cry or a body language. But for a cohesive communication, it is necessary to have words and coherent sequence of the words. In ancient period of civilization, we find the languages of Egypt on papyrus and from Babylonia civilization on tablets and Indus Valley civilization on seals. The script of the Indus Valley civilization has not yet been deciphered and remains a mystery till this day. I belong to that language, Sindhi, whose roots are still shrouded in the mystery of ancient civilization of mankind. Eminent linguist Ferdinand de Saussure describes the word as made up of material component such as sound or mark on the page, which he terms as a signifier, and the mental component, the concept and idea represented by sign or the signified. Thus, along with the sound, the sign does become intricately connected with the idea or concept. The language is akin to a flowing river. As a mighty river, in its long journey, overflow at places is enriched by many tributaries and overflows and inundates some surrounding areas in some seasons. Till recently, it was thought that, like many other Indian languages, Sindhi has roots into Indo-Aryan Sanskrit language. But recent research has traced it to a parallel branch of Indo-Iranian Sanskrit. All the same, it could be said that, like all other Indian languages, this also acquired the distinct present form in the 7th century from Rajud Apabhransha that was prevalent in the subcontinent. Sindhi language was well developed by the time of Arab invasion of Sindh in 1712. And the first ever translation of Holy Quran was done in Sindhi language, which goes to show that the Sindhi language at that time was well developed. At that time, Sindhi scholars introduced to Arabs many books on medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and the knowledge that was later to be introduced to the Western world. At this point, it becomes necessary to emphasize one fact, that the linguistic regions are made and defined by nature and geography of the land. People residing in that region by collective historical experience are bound by and share the common culture and traditions. They constitute the body of one people. And at the same time, it is also a fact that the political boundaries of the regions have frequently changed with passage of time. They have become permanent only with the advent of nation states in the aftermath of the Industrial Revolution. In this manner, the people living in the region linguistically defined by nature as Sindhi constitute one distinct nation. Thus, language is in capsule form, encompasses the total historical experience of that region. In this way, Sindhi language has been influenced by Sanskrit, Greek, 6th, Arabs, Persian languages. Sindhi language has 46 consonants and 6 vowels. The present Sindhi script has 52 letters. About 175 years ago, when British decided to standardize Sindhi script, at a glance it had 12,000 words of Sanskrit origin, 3,500 indigenous, 2,500 Arabic, and 2,000 of Persian origin. It has a very rich vocabulary that can be gauged from the fact that the dictionary prepared by Dr. Nabi Baksh Khan al-Baloch runs into 4 copious volumes, and that is also said to be inconclusive. As stated above, the literature in Sindhi language existed before advent of Arabs, and due to frequent conquest, not much has been preserved, but it remains as a robust memory of the people as a folk literature. Poetry of the poets like Qazi Qadan, Shah Abdul Karim Gulriwaro, Shah Inayat, the martyr of Sindh, adorns the pages of the history of Sindhi literature. It is in the time of Shah Abdul Latif Sindhi poetry attained its zenith, which remains unmatched till this day. Sufi thought premates the poetry of Shah Latif, and all other poets who preceded him or succeeded him. Sufism stresses divine unity of the entire creation. It rejects bipolarity and binary. The core values of this philosophy are unity, universal law, equality, peace, and brotherhood among mankind. It rejects religious priesthood and establishment and seeks to establish direct relation between an individual and God. These values have become ethos of the Sindhi society. Unfortunately, creation of the state of Pakistan is based on division among religious line, and that is in direct conflict with the historical ethos of Sindhi people. The struggle of Sindhi people to free from this divisive straitjacket of the state of Pakistan and hegemony of Urdu language is to be viewed as fundamentally an ideological struggle. The demographic imbalance inbuilt in the state of Pakistan only accentuates the situation. Another aspect that needs to be mentioned is that Sindhi language is facing challenges at multiple levels. Globalization in economic and communication field has given age to English language, and all other languages, particularly in the subcontinent, are being eroded as the creamy layer of the society abandoning its own mother tongue in favor of the English language. In Indian context, the situation is very grim. as the tiny population of less than 0.5% is scattered throughout the country. It does not have any economic utility. It is bereft of political patronage, as has no right even to an inch of land. It has no hinterland or villages where the language may survive. Added to all this is the fact that the bulk of the community is engaged in commerce and trade, and the large part may be said to comprise creamy layer. In such a grim situation, a silver lining is also discernible on the horizon. The space age promises some signs of hope. Internet has rendered distance redundant. Many e-platforms of the distance learning of Sindhi language and digital laboratories of Sindhi language are available online. Many apps to teach Sindhi language and software of translation and transliteration are available that in time to come hold promise of bringing back the lost generations to the language, literature, and culture of the land and connect them with the roots, with the land at the mental level. I conclude this note with a note of a hope. Thank you. In the end, I have to only say one thing, that to consider one's mother as the most beautiful woman in the world is a natural thing. But if you force me that I should also abandon my mother and consider your mother as the most beautiful woman in the world, that is going to create a problem. And we have to be aware of that pitfall. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Gehani Sai. That was some very powerful words there, and I love that you brought in specifically Sindhi. That is what I'm passionate about. It is definitely a mother language day. I'm not dismissing that, but it was good to hear what you think and what exactly in India is also happening from your perspective, which is fantastic to know. I will go ahead and insert my own comment here. There are many different, because today's idea is to have awareness about mother language. I will inform you that there are many groups throughout North America that do promote Sindhi speaking. I specifically teach on Sunday nights a class online free of cost that happens on the east end of the continent. On the west end of the continent, there's a few groups that further teach the same idea. Again, our goal is to try and keep whichever language you're associated with to keep on going, to try and have different ideas where, if not reading and writing, at least the speaking component is not gone. At least some of the culture is kept alive as times go on. I will quickly add one more fact just to keep us well informed. So 40% of the people in the world don't have access to education in a language that they understand. And I know Pakistan is one of them as well. In Sindh specifically, they only teach Urdu now. Even in villages where they speak Sindhi, very rarely do they learn the Sindhi alphabets and so on. So yes, so for the student to understand what the teacher is saying, because at home they speak a different language, which might be Sindhi with their mom and dad. But to go to school, they are taught how they're forced to learn Urdu or English or, math, of course, is not really language speak specific, but those kids have a hard time understanding what is being taught to them. So not only are we losing the language, but we're not doing any good to the society as well, because are we really teaching the kid if they're not understanding it, if they don't have the TV to learn or anything like that, or the internet? So the access to education also matters, and we should think about that. We should promote sending the kids there to a Sindhi medium school where teachers do teach in Sindhi, so at least the kid can understand what is being taught. That was also a stat that came from UN, but I just wanted to bring it home closer to how it is, and from my experience, what I have seen. In any regard, I will now pass to our next speaker, who will be Saleem Noor Sai. He comes from a I know nothing about Bangladesh besides having a few friends who made me try some of their delicious foods. So this has been a fantastic chance to learn a little bit about the history component. So Saleem Raza Noor's family is a very well-renowned family from what the research suggests. So his dad was an illustrious journalist, very well known. His name was Father Sirauddin Hussain, and he would write different paintings, or he would have illustrations in the journal, specifically in the roaring 60s and 70s. So these are the times when Bangladesh is really putting themselves on the map and fighting for their rights. This is post-partition with Pakistan, India, of course. So his dad was a very well-renowned individual. His mom also is a martyr journalist. His mom's name was Begum Noor Jahan Siraji. And basically, I'm not going to read the entire history, unfortunately, but it was very interesting to learn about it. But their house was considered, so their home was considered an information center of the locality because they were well involved within the journalism. Of course, there was lots of politics in the air, and he grew up with that most of his life. And after struggling through trying to get through school, because times are up and down, he did go to Dhaka University for his undergrad, Notre Dame College for his post-secondary, and then secondary school was Siddhavasari. I just went backwards in time. The life did take a turn for Mr. Saleem when he moved to the US, where journalism was exactly what he continued because he had studied English within school. And he has had a chance to translate many pieces from Times Magazine while he resides in New York City. And of course, 9/11 was something that took a crazy turn in life where some opportunities were taken away at the time. Meanwhile, other opportunities did arise, including being the first one to bring back the news back in Bangladesh of 9/11, being the official informer of such news for the first 3 days, which are the crucial times. That's where really highlight some of the highlights of his career. But today he associates with many law firms that he later on had a chance to work with. And really, ever since, he has been a freelancer, interpreter, and a translator, specifically since 2004. He's currently happily married with Polly, and he has two daughters, Maisha and Maireen Noor, respectively. And now I will pass the mic over to Mr. Saleem to say a few words about Mother Language Day in, again, whatever language you prefer, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Advani. Good morning from my part. I think some people are in evening time, so good evening to them also. It's my great honor and pleasure to be part of this program, and my heartfelt thanks to Sindhi Foundation and Mr. Laghari, who communicated with me, and all of the participants. My heartfelt thanks. The introduction mentioned a lot of things about me. I don't deserve that, maybe. Anyway, what happened? My family had a great connection with the political atmosphere of Pakistan, and as I was speaking with Mr. Manowar, and I was told to little shed light on Pakistani hegemony and the political event, and I will go for that because language mother tongue day everybody described, and we know, and it's happened in Bangladesh, indeed, and it's Pakistan, and Bengali shared their lives in 1952, and that caused great uproar, and that was the first step towards our conception of creating our own country, Bangladesh. But historically, we can say that was not the first dreamt of, because Bangladesh idea was existing in historical perspective, because while Mr. Jinnah raised the issue of Pakistan at that time, that was just based on our one of Bengali leader, Mr. Shere Bangla A.K. Fazlul Haq's proposal that was called Lahore Resolution. And in Lahore Resolution, it was clearly said to create few states for the Muslims in India, because Hindu domination would cause trouble for Muslims. Those were backward for 200 years, ruled by British. So they could not compete in one India. So they need their rights. So Mr. Jinnah raised that issue, and Mr. Fazlul Haq just proposed that in the majority areas of India, Muslim would create or form their own country. So there would be more than one Pakistan. So at that time at the serious time of 1940s, around 46, Mr. Sarwardi, Bengal's chief minister, and Bengal Muslim League's acting secretary, Mr. Abul Hashim, they were just going after for creating a country with Mr. Jinnah's blessing uh, that was undivided, independent, joint Bengal, along with West Bengal and East Bengal. And that move went very fast and far, but it was from Hindu Mahasabha. Shama Prasad Mukherjee first objected that, and Mr. Nehru did not play well. He just foul played. He objected that, not to divide India in that way. If Jinnah does that, then Bengal should be divided. So we did not get undivided Bengal, what was proposed. And at that time, a lot of things went there and conspiracy. So we had to go for one Pakistan, though we are apart 1,200 miles apart. It's very unrealistic to form a country like that, which has only bondage of religion. No country can be formed in only one bondage, that is religion, because in Middle East, many Muslim countries were there, not one country, all were Muslims over there. So that was unrealistic, unscientific creation of Pakistan. But there was agreed upon that while there was a talking about how to share power, this and that. And at that time, that was came by Jinnah. Okay, federated government, federal system of government, which we are having in New York, in America, 50 states, they are almost independent. Only 4 things they are giving to Washington, the central government. So we're supposed to form that, but that was denied. Mr. Jinnah could not survive after independence, just a few months. Thereafter, everything was betrayed with all the parts of Pakistan, with us in Bengal, with you in Sindh, with others in Balochistan, in Pakhtun, other than Punjab. Everybody were deprived. And whatever we are earning in Bengal, jute, tea, whatever exporting, the money was not remain with us. That goes to Rawalpindi, Islamabad. They were taking care of our money. So we are getting money, earning money, and that's going to building Islamabad over there. We are deprived. And all the allocations of the central government, it was so so much deprived us, that was. So we got some feelings of rebellion, this and that, and we are time and time again was asking for that. So at one point, what happened in 60s, Ayub Khan came and he was tightening his grip. And at that time, all party formed Democratic Action Committee. In short, and it was called DAC. They were in movement in Ayub Khan's parliament. They were screaming about their rights, this and that, democracy, whatever, but no action were in reality taking place. Ayub Khan was remained the supreme commander, and political parties or politicians could not do anything. At that time, it was 1965, all the political parties, they just stopped and canceled their party activities. Rather, they were following under one umbrella, that is DAC, Democratic Action Committee. No individual political parties were working at the time. So our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and it is the post Sohrawardi and Fazlul Haq time. They both demise at that time, died. So at that time, very young leader, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, my father was a very close friend of him. And Daily Ittifaq, my father was working with the paper, that was just galvanizing the country and coming to one platform, because a lot of politicians were there and they were much more learned and they were much senior than Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. But nobody, no one has the courage to fight against army rule of Ayub Khan, autocratic rule. Sheikh Mujib was that courage. He has that willingness. So he went to his political guru, advisor, Ittifaq's publisher and editor Manik Mia, my father's boss, and asked he would like to revive Awami League. But Manik Mia objected that because all senior politicians, they are coming in one umbrella and they are chalking out the program. So Ayub would go. So it's not be any fruitful thing to revive Awami League and make separations within the opposition party platform. But Bangabandhu was committed because he found that all the political leaders in Pakistan, they were doing nothing. They were just sitting in a room every day and just condemning Ayub policy by sending a statement to the newspaper. It's just lip service to the country. Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he visioned that he would need to go to street and just bring out the people and just go for movement to uproot Ayub regime from power. Other than that, Ayub would not go. Mashallah would not go. Army would not go. So we need to fight back, not sitting in the room and sending these statements. It is not a way out. But Manik Mia, his political advisor, objected that idea. So with disappointment, Bangabandhu just went, after coming out his room, in the upstairs, second floor, my father sits there as a news editor. And editor Manik Mia sits at the downstairs over there in his room. He went and he just told my father, okay, Siraj, what do you think? I have been planning to revive Awami League, go for Awami League conference. But Manik Bhai told me not to do that, and he would not support me. He would not give any coverage to Ittifaq. My father said, okay, Mujib, you go for that. I am with you. And you will get coverage in Ittifaq. I would manage editor Shahib. And that happened. Bangabandhu went, revived Awami League, and thereafter, on the following year, came 6 points. Over there on 6 points, Manik Mia objected to give the 6 points because all the political parties objected that because it's too harsh for the government to absorb that. So it would be a lot of torture, this and that, jail. Manik Mia was in 62 years old. He said, I would be in jail, so don't do that. Ayub Khan is not a very had soft soul. So he would go after us. Again, Bangabandhu went back to my father and asked, I am planning to go Lahore and play 6 points over there. And Manik Bhai told me not to give any coverage. Without coverage, it won't float. My father said, okay, go. I will take care of your coverage. And Ittifaq did that. This way, everything went through, and Bangabandhu remained 13 years in jail, speaking for people, and tried his best to bring back Pakistan, what was dreamed of in 1940s, Sher Bangla's Lahore Resolution. One thing to say, my father wrote a pre-election 1970 this book, and to firstly circulate in West Pakistani people to get all the truth about Awami League, because a lot of falsification went on against Awami League. 6 points against Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. So West Pakistan people, they were hating Sheikh Mujib without knowing anything. Only falsification, only distortion of histories. So my father wrote this book at the time to make them understand Sheikh Mujib was not threat for Pakistan. Sheikh Mujib, what was doing? He was doing to bring back the real Pakistan, which was dreamt of at that time of Jinnah Sorwardi, Fazlul Haq. But I'm just quoting only a few lines over from here. My father's preface. But sacrifice made during the struggle were certainly not equal, nor was the commitment made to the ideals of Pakistan by the provinces now comprising West Pakistan so wholehearted and total as it was in case of Bengal. And possibly that is why even an area where 97% population was Muslims joined Pakistan on the strength of only 50.8% of votes in favor of Pakistan. That was West Pakistan. While Bengal, with a 54% Muslim majority, decided in favor of Pakistan by casting 98% of votes in its favor of Pakistan. And one more, very little, the ideals for which the Muslims of the subcontinent fought for Pakistan remain a dream for them. Their causes were betrayed, their interest hampered. So after 1970 election, while Bhutto were conspiring with army junta not to give power to Awami League Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, my father's last essay on this Mother Tongue Day, February 21st, 1971, that was his last write-up on Mother Tongue Day. He analytically presented and on historical perspective all the matters and why Sheikh Mujib would not be given the power, what's wrong with that. And at the time, he analyzed 6 points demand. It's not anti-Pakistan. It was not against anybody. Rather, it was only means to keep Pakistan united. Other than that, then my father's line over there, he just put this way. If Mr. Bhutto and others conspirators does not like 6 points, then we would not lose anything. We would go for now 1 point. That would end up the story. So we are getting for that. In 1971, we left 6 points and just went for 1 point, got Bangladesh. Now, United Nations, UNESCO, is commemorating our Mother Tongue Day. It's now World's International Mother Language Day. We are honored. All of the world are having that. My heartfelt thanks to you all again for asking me to say something over here, and my salute and my solidarity with all the languages, those who are fighting for that. Language is not only right, it is human right, because all the native countries, all the native people, all the people of the world needs to speak in their native language. Is their human rights. Thank you very much. All the blessing to you, Sindhi people, for your fight and right. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Saleem Saab. That was fantastic. I feel inspired that one, I learned a lot about historical first-hand experience, it really sounded like, as to how all of this came about. So thank you for educating me, but it also definitely inspired me to keep on going as well, regardless of the hard times, regardless of what type of difficult situations you had, your family, your father still continued on when there was jail and different legalities involved too at the time. It must have been very, very stressful to say the very least. But now I definitely feel like I've almost met a celebrity maybe in the field. So thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I think because we went back in time, it only makes sense to go present in time. So I'm gonna actually hop from Washington/New York, where you are right now, Saleem Saab, to the other side in BC and jump to maybe Muhammad Aminul Islam. Just because I think going from history to current present time makes a lot of sense to me. So we'll start that way. So Muhammad Aminul Islam is a Bangladeshi. He's a cultural activist. His work as a cultural activist is marked by many of his achievements. Some of the things that he's very passionate about lately is that International Mother Language Day become a regular thing, a yearly celebration or a revolutionary model in BC. So Surrey, BC, which is just outside of Vancouver. To date, this is perhaps the only tested framework for International Mother Language Day implementation, which is recommended by UNESCO. With tireless efforts of his work, the Canadian Parliament has also tabled the Bill S214 and is waiting for the final review currently to see if this is something that can be implemented within the Canadian land. There is lots of support he's needed from the city of Surrey in BC, and that's been going on since 2012. He has also initiated the Bangla Heritage Week, which is a celebration of the first week of Bangla New Year in Lower Mainland in Vancouver. So for the outstanding achievement for Mr. Islam, he has received the 2016 Civic Treasure Award. Congratulations from the city of Surrey. He is also the recipient of 2017 Mayor's Art Award as Cultural Ambassador. I think if I go on and on about the awards, the list does seem to be longer here. So I will hold off and I will pass it on to Muhammad Aminul Islam himself and allow you to give us a chance as to what you've been doing, but also what is in present time that can be done such that mother languages are sustained. They do get to carry on, and it's not just a thing of the past or go extinct, as we've been saying. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning. And also thanking you for giving me the opportunity to attend this program. This year, the 21st of February, as you all mentioned, it will be the 70th anniversary of 21 February, but it will be the 23rd anniversary of International Mother Language Day. And I am so happy that I live in Vancouver in British Columbia, and this is the birthplace of International Mother Language Day. So I will not repeat all the background history that already been told, but on this spirit of 21st of February, the spirit gave the recognition to establish a mother tongue like Bangla as a state language, or even a country in the world map like Bangladesh. So International Mother Language Day is really a day to celebrate all mother languages. That could be First Nations, that could be Aboriginals, that could be all immigrants, hundreds and hundreds immigrants languages. That could be Braille and sign language too. And there are hundreds of linguistic minorities. So we, this is the day to celebrate all the mother tongues. So as I mentioned, I will not go background history, all the history as mentioned or respected guests, but I would say something about the International Mother Language Day, how it happened, and the organization, the Mother Language Lovers of the World Society. The proponent of this International Mother Language Day, Mr. Rafiqul Islam, he came to Canada in 1995. And when he came to Canada, he saw, oh, it's a multicultural country. And so many languages, multilingual society. It's like a salad bowl, All the, components are there, but with their distinct identity, with due respect. So he thought, why not? This, the multilingual, the respect and mosaic, we bring it to the global society. So then he proposed to UNESCO to declare a day, and he chose the date, the 21st of February, because it's a very historical, very inspirational day. So United Nations accepted the day in 21st of February, and it was declared. So we must say this is a very, important gift to the world, to the all mother languages, the International Mother Language Day to celebrate, because you can uphold, you can respect your mother tongue, you can know each other's mother tongue, you can also uphold your mother tongue on this day. However, it was 25 years back. It's like a quarter century, Mr. Rafiqul Islam thought it. But how we are nourishing this International Mother Language Day, how we are exercising, that is the main point of our organization, because it was a nice gift to the world. But if you think about the human being of 23 years, a man, if you do not give proper nourishment, education, shelter, food, he'll not be a proper human. So it's the same thing. If we don't exercise, nourish this International Mother Language Day globally, so no point of this, International Mother Language Day. So our organization, by the way, for this outstanding work of our organization, the Bangladesh government, they awarded our organization, the Ekushe Padok, the second highest award to our organization. And Mr. Rafiqul Islam and his co-worker, Mr. Abdul Salam, both of them were awarded, the Shadhinata Padak, the highest award from Bangladesh government in 2016. But our Mr. Rafiqul Islam, he was a freedom fighter, and he was a proponent of International Mother Language Day, and he also organized and established Mother Language Lovers of the World Society, and he was the founding president. But unfortunately, he passed away in 2013. And his grave is also in British Columbia. So we claim this is a holy place for the International Mother Language Day. But our vision to create this British Columbia as the capital of International Mother Language Day, the Global Secretariat of International Mother Language Day. But how we are doing, the main thing we are doing, the implementation. If we celebrate something like weekly, you can, remember very short term. If you celebrate something like anniversary, yearly, like this year we are celebrating International Mother Language Day, right? And we will forget, next week. But if you want to remember this thing generations after generation, if you want to remember keep in practice years after years, then you have to give it to the school system, in the education system. So fortunately and alhamdulillah, we have done this thing. We have brought this International Mother Language Day into the school system. So we have introduced this International Mother Language Day on the school yearly calendar and their curriculum. So we started from Sari School District. In Sari School District, like 72,000 students. And there are 172 different mother languages and their speakers. So we introduced this International Mother Language Day. As a result, every year, 72,000 students and 172 type of mother languages and their speaker, they can know their own languages, they can know the other languages. This is, I am talking only about one school district. So this is the BC model. So we took this model to other school districts, and they have also accepted. So that's how we are, integrated this International Mother Language Day into the young generations, because mother tongue carries by the children. So children are the basic carrier of mother tongue. So if we nourish them about the mother tongue at the children age, so that will be our main vision. And as a permanent reminder to all the community people and every mother languages, we have created a mother language monument. That monument unveiled in 2009, and its name is Lingua Aqua. Lingua means language, aqua means water. And that's a landmark. Human being, when they are in the mother's womb, at the age of 5 months, they can acquire their mother tongue. So that's a milestone for a human being. At the month of 5 months, at the mother's womb, they can understand their mother tongue. Then what we have done, if you go for implementation for anything, you need to create the value of it. You need to create, make the awareness of it. So what we started to declare from the local government, municipal government. We went there. We convinced them. We let them declare the day. Then we went to the province. And British Columbia is the first province in Canada, in the world. In 2015, they declared, the Lieutenant Governor, the Queen's representative, she declared 21st February is the International Mother Language Day. And what we are doing, as I mentioned, that we want to make British Columbia as the global secretariat of International Mother Language Day. We want to establish the human right. It's a mother tongue, is a right of every mother tongue. So if we want to spread it globally, we need a global, we need a value of, we need a national recognition. You will be surprised. In 1999, UNESCO has declared this International Mother Language Day, and the member country, 198 member country, all of them supported. But none of the country they have recognized, none of the country has declared today is International Mother Language Day. Let's go celebrate. So what we have done, we have slowly, gradually, we have declared from the municipal government, we have gone to the provincial government, we have gone to across the Canada, all provinces. Now we have gone to the Senate. So we started since 2007. First, we took to the national, the parliament. But if you cannot create the value, nobody accepts it, right? So slowly, it is being practiced. So we are trying to establish the value. So we have taken to the Senate. In the Senate, first reading, second reading, it has been accepted and granted. So that is the, Senate level we have passed through. Now we have sponsored in the parliament. So in the parliament, last term of the government, we can make it. So hopefully this year, we will be, able to declare. So if it is happens, maybe hopefully next year you will be knowing that Canada is celebrating, is the first country in the world they have declared the International Mother Language Day. So why it possible? Because Canada is a multicultural country. Multiculturalism and multilingualism, goes together. If you doesn't go together, it doesn't work. So you have to give this message to people. So it's a human right and it's an equal right we have to establish. So that's how we are working. So hopefully we'll be able to recognize Canada-wide. Then we can make example to the world so that in every country they can respect to their own, and other languages. So that's it. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm taking, off. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad Aminul.
And I have just one thing. This year, 21st of February, we have two resolutions. One, we are making a rally from, Science World to the Vancouver Art Gallery. So we have two resolutions. One resolution is to create awareness to support the bill. The bill we took to the parliament, Bill S214. This is the bill to support, create the support. And second thing, to establish the design of the Shahid Minar as the iconic design of International Mother Language Day monument. So that's why we are also, trying to establish Shahid Minar as an iconic design of the International Mother Language Day monument. So we are trying to the school district first, because all the school district has accepted the International Mother Language Day. Then we will go for globally. We like to universalize the iconic design of International Mother Language Day as the Shahid Minar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Muhammad Amin Islam. That was fantastic. That was exactly my purpose too, to go from history to today as to what all is going on, at least in Canadian side of land, and hopefully we'll learn more what else is happening around the globe. There is, unfortunately, I've just been informed that this meeting has been set up until 12:30. So my team is going to try and help me extend it. If IT is not able to help us do that, please forgive us if the meeting ends, because the scheduled time was until 12:30. Having said that, I will also skip some of the fun facts I had ready because we are running out of time, and I'll pass it along next to our next speaker, who is Shabbir Ahmed. Really, the introduction I have down is quite a bit of a professional experience. So lots of engineering that has been practiced in New York, in Tennessee, in Florida, and perhaps a different engineering perspective to all of this conversation, since we've been talking about politics and so on. So I won't be able to comment a lot from a Sindhi perspective for him, but hopefully he will allow us to educate a bit about mother language and what else he has to bring to the table today. I will pass it to you, Mr. Shabbir Ahmed, if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Urooj Advani, for your nice introduction. Thank you, Mr. Mohan Gehani, for inviting me in this discussion program. And thank you all for, I'm honored to be here with all the distinguished participants. Here, it was mentioned, correctly mentioned by Mr. Mohan Gehani and others about how International Mother Language Day was initiated by Mr. Rafiqul Islam way back in mid 1990s. He actually, he wrote to the United Nations, but here I'd like to add, the United Nations suggested the applicants to get this process initiated by the government, by a member state. So they said back at that time, in 1996, Bangladesh Awami League was in power, and then the current Prime Minister, she was also in power at that time, Mrs. Sheikh Hasina, and she took it seriously, and then the request went from Bangladesh government to the United Nations, and that's how Bangladesh, based on the request from the Bangladesh government, United Nations, UNESCO accepted and approved the International Mother Language Day. So here, I'd just like to give some background information. It was mentioned by earlier speakers that in 1952, the movement started. It's actually the movement started very much after the independence of, after the division of India. In Pakistan, when the discussion about state language started, and it was very much like Urdu was accepted as the state language. Almost at that time, the Bengali intellectuals and the concerned politicians back at the time in East Pakistan, then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, they actually initiated discussion about accepting Bengali as a state language. When Muhammad Ali Jinnah came in 1948 in March, and he actually emphasized that Urdu and no other language would be the state language of Pakistan, and that caused serious protests from the intellectuals and all the politicians back at that time that were leading East Pakistan, and ultimately it continued in 1952. There were killings, those who were protesting, a number of people died, and finally it continued like this. In fact, Urdu was the language of Uttar Pradesh of India, mostly spoken by the people in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar of India. It is a nice language, and I just can't. I just can say here, there is a song, a patriotic song, sung in many occasions in India. It's written by poet Iqbal. Sara jahan se acha Hindustan hamara. That's a very nice song. It was written in Urdu. So it is a very nice language. There was no problem. But from Bangladesh perspective, from the East Pakistan at that time, we just wanted to have Bengali to be recognized as one of the state languages. There's no hard feeling about Urdu. It's a nice language. All languages are nice. And accepting all the language, it's not just the language. With language comes the culture, songs, poems, movies, theater. So all these, unfortunately, these were not considered by the ruling rulers of Pakistan back at that time. There is a beauty in diversity. Unfortunately, beauty in diversity was not in the minds of the ruling class of Pakistan all along when Bangladesh was part of Pakistan. And that led to in fact, in Balochistan, the language is Baluchi. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it is Pashto. In Sindh, language is Sindhi. In Punjab, the language is Punjabi. And in East Bengal is to be called East Pakistan, the language is Bengali. So Urdu was not the language of any of the states of any of the provinces of Pakistan at that time. But there was no hard feeling against Urdu. We just wanted, our leaders, our intellectuals wanted Bengali to be recognized as one of the state languages of Pakistan. So that's what. But I many times I watch, perspective of Pakistan intellectuals these days with so many TV programs now being available, and I watched one of the discussion programs by Mr. Hassan Nisar, and he actually talked all this about the problems of accepting the diversity by the ruling class, and they always had a tendency to undermine the feelings, the culture of the people of provinces, especially of the East Pakistan province back at that time. I can say here in 1962, they actually banned, the government of Pakistan banned Rabindra Sangeet, the songs written by the first Nobel laureate of India, and he's from Bengal. His house still is in Pustia of Bangladesh. This poet Rabindranath's songs he's like the Shakespeare of Bangladesh. His songs were banned in Pakistan radio at the time from Dhaka. So all those caused so much of resentment, so much protests, and it continued. And that led to the 6-point movement that Saleem Reza Noor mentioned so well. You are of all this history because of his family association with this whole movement back at that time. And he mentioned that our Bangladesh founding father, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he came up with 6-point program, and Saleem Reza Noor's father, Mr. Sirajuddin Hussain, who wholeheartedly supported with coverage in the Daily Ittifaq at that time. But one thing I'd like to add here is that Bangabandhu did not want to declare 6-point movement, 6-point demands in Dhaka or any part in East Pakistan. He wanted to he wanted to go and declare it in West Pakistan, in one place in West Pakistan. So he went, he thought about going to Karachi and all this, and he went, I think, as far as I read, he went to Lahore.
Sorry, Shabbir Ahmed.
And
We are running out of time. I'll give you a 30-second heads up to finish up your thoughts.
oh,
I'm
sure,
really sorry.
sure, okay. Thank you, no problem. So yeah, here, so that's what he did. He went there and declared, but that eventually led to one point movement, and many intellectuals were killed. I say many Dhaka University professors were killed. Mr. Sirajuddin Hussain, a renowned journalist, was killed. Professor Anwar Pasha of Dhaka University, Professor Munir Chaudhuri of Dhaka University, many professors, many intellectuals gave their lives. I remember all those people who sacrificed their lives for us to be here, to be able to say it's a Mother Language Day today. So thank you all, and thanks again for inviting me, and thanks again for having being with so many distinguished speakers and exchanging their views so nicely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shabbir Ahmed. I apologize for interrupting you. We're just
No,
running
it's
out of
okay.
time.
Thank you. No problem.
I will request that you mute yourself now. And I'll quickly let you know that we have roughly 4 minutes left. So Jamal Hassan, I'll pass the mic to you next. And then we will ask Dileep Ratnani from the Canadian side to give us some concluding remarks at the end. Unfortunately, you only do have 2 minutes. And I will also suggest that everyone, Jamal Hassan has posted in the chat box a very interesting link. Feel free to tell us what it's about. I'll let you speak, Jamal Hassan, right away. Thank you.
Okay, I can say Shubho Aparanha in Bangla, which means good afternoon. Language as a foundation of human existence. When we take away food from a person, he or she may starve to death or may survive with a sick body for some time. But I consider if you take away language from a nation, people will lose their identity forever. Pakistani regime from the outset was preaching two-nation theory, a nation only based on religion. Interestingly, Bengali nationalism based on linguistic nationalism was a total antithesis of Pakistani thesis of two-nation theory. But nowadays, I'm going very briefly, nowadays the Pakistani regime is continuously cultivating Islamization, basically. On the basis of religion, they want to undermine and subjugate the national minorities like Sindhis, Balochis. And I would say, from my own experience, because I was basically working with the US government, I worked in 3 Gulf countries for the last 6.5 years. And I talked to many people, many working class, hundreds of people in a country like Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Because of my job needs, I used to interview them. And I found out, it was my own experience, I can say, that people from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, I did not feel that they were as a linguistic nationalist during like those days of Batsra Khan or Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. They were kind of, many of them, unfortunately, many Pashtuns were playing the second fiddle of Punjabi oligarchy. And it's very unfortunate. Mostly I found among people from KPK to Baloch to some extent. And what's going on now, we know in Sindh, and hegemony of Urdu-speaking, unfortunate migrants. I have no problem of those migrants settling in Karachi, Urdu-speaking, but unfortunately, they are basically calling all the shots. And it's true that Sindhi language is deprived of its own rights, especially in rural schools. Urdu is dominating. And I can just give a parallel during Pakistan time when the Urdu enclaves, I'm talking about the Muhajirs who used to live in Mirpur, Sayyidpur, and some parts of the Indian East Pakistan, they did not know, and they did not bother to know Bangla. I remember many of those Urdu-speaking people, they could not speak Bangla while they were living in East Pakistan. Anyway, those days of subjugation should not go forever, and I encourage you all to look into that, the aspiration of the Sindhi nationalism, and I hope that they will succeed in the long run. The Sindhi will be established in the International Committee of Nations. Sindhi language. And that's all my words to say today.
Thank you, Jamal. That was fantastically concise, and it brought back again to Sindhiism, so it touched my heart. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
That was very great. I have been absolutely humbled to host this event today. I've learned so much about history and what the today's initiatives are. I would love to share my personal interests as well and what kind of initiatives I partake in. Feel free to find me on social media, LinkedIn, if you would like to connect and chat more about this and see what part of things you could potentially participate in on the Canadian side. I also welcome you at this time to log on to the sindhifoundation.org and cansa.com to just see what we are all about, and feel free to donate, feel free to participate as a member if you would like to. We could use all the support in the world, and I hope that this becomes an annual thing where we get to learn about each other's initiatives and not only just speak about history. Today was a fantastic introduction, and hopefully this means it's a beginning to lots of cool things. I will pass it to Dileep Ratnani as concluding statements. It's past 12:31, so the call's still going. We'll see how lucky we get. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Urooj. I would say thanks to everybody, especially Mir Mohammad Ali Talpur, Dr. Shabbir Ahmed, Saleem R Saab, and Mohan Gehani, Sufi Laghari Saab, and Urooj, fantastic host, Jamal Hassan and Aminul Islam. Everybody, thanks, and people who are watching us throughout the world, we are thankful for that too. But I would emphasize on one thing. Languages are going to extinct, 6,000 languages. So for message for people of Sindh, I'm leaving this message for the people of Sindh to think about that. Are we creating recorded and printed resources in order to save the language? This is my question to Sindhi Nation. Are we taking and teaching languages in schools? This is second question for Sindhi Nation. Are we using digital and social media outlets to improve, to propagate our language? Yes or no? That's a big question. And are we insisting to our kids to speak in our languages? Bengali people created an example. We are proud of that. United Nations is celebrating that day, but where the Sindhi nation and other nations within country are standing from their language survival point of view. That is the question that we should address today. Once again, thank you very much, all participants. We learned a lot from your knowledge. And Urooj, back to you. Laghari Sahab, I think you want to say something.
Yeah, I'll pass it back to Laghari, uncle.
Yeah, I want to say you forget Sai Talpur Saab's also from the Sindh. He was the only one that represent the Sindhis and Baloch in this important event. So we want to thank him too. But more thank you. I'm very impressed from the Urooj, your meeting, the way you conduct the present, also your views and the facts and figures. Really, I think next time you don't need me, and you're going to continue this work and connect the Sindhi Foundation and the CANSA. I'm so happy and impressed from the last 27 years struggle in US and North America or in the world. But we need people like young people like you and continue this kind of the work. Thank you so much, Urooj. You've done a wonderful job. And thank you all the guests that you really helped us for this important event and the day. So nice of you. Everyone.
I think the one last thank you that we always forget is our IT team, the Sindhi Foundation, the hosts that are currently on the screen. They made sure that they pushed through this meetings. It still carried on. I think this is absolutely fantastic that in today's age, despite COVID, despite pandemic, we're able to connect with people from around the world. We're not just stuck with finding time to take time off of work and other life busyness to meet in person at conferences, because that was the only way in the past really to meet. So if there's anything positive we can take from that. The one quick fact that I had set aside, which I didn't get to address, and since I said pandemic and this meeting is going on, I'll slide it in there. So UNESCO has also done a ton of statistical analysis in the recent one. Because of COVID-19 and school closures, there have been many countries who have not been able to execute their schooling and the education piece as per usual. So they tested 143 countries and asked them if they used online services or not while they were teaching to different students around their countries. And really, there was a staggering difference between high-income countries and the low-income countries. And unfortunately, between those, the low-income countries only had television and radio as the two ways where students were learning any language or anything in the last roughly 3 years now, 2.5 years. Meanwhile, in the high-income countries, there were things like WebEx and Zoom, and they have laptops and tablets to be able to execute education. But this is a chance that also Dileep Ratnani added some fantastic questions. I'll add one more question for us to ponder over, which is what do we do when 2.5 years of language understanding and learning has now been essentially abolished? There's a vacuum, a hole where for 2 years we didn't get to learn as much as we would have. We lost that time. Meanwhile, we continue to lose one language every 2 weeks. That statistic still stands to date. So every 2 weeks for the last 104 weeks, we've been losing a language, and we haven't been able to educate. This is also quite an alarming thing if you really think about it. And it's staggeringly different in a low-income country versus, again, a high-income country. So some things for us to think about when we are considering donating, money or time, really. When we go back home or to any other country, if it happens to be a third world country, can we consider donating some of our time and maybe volunteering and teaching? That might be something that initially comes as a solution to my mind. I'm sure there's thousands of other solutions to this concern as well. But if we are passionate about this, let's not just talk about politics, economics, and the history. Let's also please talk about the current state of the globe and the future of it, which can only be achieved if we continue to donate some of our time and resources. And it doesn't always have to be money. It doesn't, if that is not something that you have questions about, or you don't trust the organization. I know there's a ton of gray that goes behind there, but you can donate your time. And it might not make a big dent or even a scratch on the surface, but it might leave a mark. It might leave a little mark in somebody's mind, which might pass on and lead to a ripple effect. And that's all I'll say, and not prolong this conversation any further. I hope you all have a fantastic Sunday or Sunday evening for yourself, Mr. Talpur, and we will meet next time again.
And thank you, our interns who are actually helping us.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.